Now, up until very recently, it would have been a real challenge to remove something like this scaffolding from off the castle walls here. But nowadays, we can do this literally in seconds. And that's because we've got generative fill in Photoshop and also other third-party AI platforms and models integrated into Photoshop that we can use. But this does come at a cost because using AI within Photoshop means we have credits deducted from our Creative Cloud account. So what I want to do in this video is take a look, first of all, at how we would remove the scaffolding and give you a look at how each of the AI models that we currently have available perform in doing it. So that then you're going to be better informed as to which one you would choose from the get-go so that you don't potentially waste credits. Because now also Adobe have updated their help pages to give a breakdown of exactly what this is going to cost us. All right, so let's start off then, first of all, by letting you know that the version of Photoshop I'm going to be using is this one here, version 27.2.0. That was released on the 17th of December, 2025. Now, what I'll do then to remove this particular scaffolding here is I'm going to get my rectangular marquee tool and make a loose selection around the castle, just so that the AI has a bit of context. I don't need to select the whole picture, just the castle itself, so the AI knows what it's working on. Once I've done that, I'll then go to the contextual taskbar, click on generative fill, and in the prompt field here, I'll type remove the scaffolding from off the castle. Now, then I'll choose the image model that I want to use, the AI model, and we'll go with the Adobe's ones first of all. Now, we've got Firefly Image 1 and Image 3, and these are going to deduct 1 credit from our Creative Cloud account. So if it works, great. If it doesn't, it's not going to be a disaster. We've only lost 1 credit, but let's try them anyway. We'll go with the first one, Image 1, click on that, and then click on Generate. And this will take just a few seconds. It'll give us 3 variations to choose from, depending on what result we prefer. And like I said, well, yeah, it would have been 1 deduction. Thankfully, that's not the end of the world because we can see that each of the variations here doesn't work. That's definitely not what we wanted, so we're going to ignore Image 1. Let's make another selection then around the castle. We'll go back to the contextual taskbar, put that prompt back in. This time we'll try Image 3 because if we can use an AI model that uses only 1 credit, then fantastic. We're not going to be wasting, or rather, we're not going to be using up our credits too quickly. So let's go for Image 3. We'll click on Generate. Again, we get 3 variations with Adobe's Firefly. Roughly 10 to 12 seconds and 1 credit deducted from our Creative Cloud account. So let's just see what that result will give us. And again, it just shows here that Adobe's AI technology, Firefly, is not the appropriate model for something like this. So when you want to work on something that's got a lot of detail, you want to maintain the integrity of the actual building or whatever it is that you're working on, you're going to avoid Firefly. You might try it, but like I said, you're only wasting 1 credit there. So it's not the end of the world. But let's have a look at what else we've got available to us. So again, I'll make the selection around the castle. We'll go back to the contextual taskbar, put the prompts in, and this time we'll take a look at the other ones available. Now, Flux.2 Pro. This here is the one that was introduced on the 17th of December, 2025. So this is the latest one at the time of recording this. And this here is actually capable of higher resolution. It's capable of up to 4K. But all of the AI in Photoshop has been capped at the moment at 1K. Even though they're capable of more outside, they're all capable. They're all capped rather at 1K within Photoshop. So let's have a look. So we'll click on Flux.2 Pro to see what this is going to give us, and then we'll click on Generate. This is going to deduct 20 credits from our Creative Cloud account. So we would hope we're not going to waste it on this generation, but this is the good thing here about getting an idea now of what each of these models is capable of. What's going to be the best one to try first of all when you're aware of what their strengths and weaknesses are. We get 1 variation, takes roughly 10 to 12 seconds, but what I'll do is I'll speed the video up so we get to see what it does. All right, now I don't know if this is because it's very, very new in Photoshop, it's getting a lot of use, but that took there just over 60 seconds, so quite a bit of time. And you can see now straight away that it doesn't really fit in with what we're doing. If we look at the actual the result here, you can see that it does seem to be a heck of a lot of detail in there. And you might initially think that it's a higher resolution, but it isn't. It's purely the algorithm is designed to make it look much more detailed, much more contrasty and what have you. So it will have its use cases in certain kind of pictures, but not in something like this where we don't want it to be quite so punchy. So that's not going to be the ideal one for me. We could potentially click on the layer mask over here and then just kind of fill that with black and brush it in, and then kind of brush over so that we only have the bits where the scaffolding has gone, like so. And obviously then we've got the increase in the contrast and the saturation to sort out. So you could potentially think about adding further adjustments and kind of tweaking it to see if you can kind of fix it so it doesn't look quite so bad. But that's, again, you're just spending a bit of time there unnecessarily because there are going to be better AI models for this. So let's just get rid of that. Let's scrap that one. So let's try another one then. We'll get the rectangular marquee tool. We'll drag out the selection, go back to the prompt, put it in, remove the scaffolding from off the castle. And this time we'll use the one underneath here, the one that's been in for a while, Flux Context Pro. We'll click on that. Again, capped at 1K, and we'll click on Generate. We get one generation, and this one here is actually going to deduct 10 credits. So less than the new one, the Flux.2 Pro, but still 10 credits. So let's have a look what this one does for us. Now that is actually a really, really good result. Look, if I turn that off and on, it's removed the scaffolding, it's maintained the integrity of the structure, meaning it hasn't built any extra bits onto it. That's a really good result. Now, obviously what I did was I made a selection going around the castle. So all of this area here within the marching ant selection has been regenerated. And we only really want to have the new generated pixels where the scaffolding was, because otherwise all these other pixels that have been generated are at a lower resolution than the original image. So we want to reduce where that lower resolution is. So I'm going to click on the layer mask over in the layers panel, and we'll fill it with black to hide the result of this flux generation layer just there. Then I'll get the brush and I'll just brush over so that we can see the result of what that Flux AI did for us, removing the scaffolding. And already, look, you can see that looks pretty good. That really does look good. There's no shifting. There's no color shift. Absolutely brilliant. The only thing is the actual resolution, and I hope this kind of shows through. It might not actually, but the resolution of what's been done is less than the rest of the picture. So what you could do here, I guess, is you could potentially duplicate the results in there, and then you could go to something like the filter menu and choose AI Sharpen. But you'll see here, look, AI Sharpen is grayed out, and that's because it doesn't work on a generative fill layer. So we'd need to make this layer here a normal box standard layer, and we can do that just by going to the layer menu, choosing rasterize, and then layer. Basically, turn this layer into a normal layer. You'll notice then that when we do that, the little icon in the bottom right-hand corner has disappeared, meaning this is just a standard layer. So now when we go to the filter menu and choose AI Sharpen, it's available to us. Now, the only thing here is when we use this new AI Sharpen, or Topaz Sharpen rather, there is no controls. We literally just press Sharpen, and we're at the mercy of the AI deciding what amount of sharpening is needed. So I'll click on Sharpen. But this is why I've duplicated the layer, because once, after a few seconds, it does do the sharpening that it thinks is needed, it'll probably be too much. But then, because it's on a separate layer, we can lower the opacity to reduce the overall strength of what it's actually done, so it looks a little bit better. But I'll speed the video up so then you can see the result of this AI sharpening. In fact, I didn't even need to. There you go, it's done it. And you can see, look, yes, it is way too much if we just go from there to there. But like I said, it's on its own layer, so you could potentially just reduce that a touch just to help it look a little bit better than the original generation. But I mean, fair play. I mean, that looks pretty good if we go before and after, before and after. I mean, can you imagine trying to do that with the clone stamp tool, the healing brush, and all the other tools we had available to us before generative fill? Unbelievable what we can now do. But there you go. So that is the 1K fix that's just been sharpened. That's the Flux Context Pro. But we have other models available to us. Let's give those a go as well. So I'll make the selection around the castle. We'll go to the prompt, we'll put it in, and this time we're going to choose Gemini 3, which has got the Nano Banana Pro image model built into it. And this is obviously from Google. And if you've used this outside of Photoshop, you know that you can use it at 2K and 4K. But like I said, this is limited at the time of recording this in Photoshop to 1K. The other thing is that this actually deducts 40 credits from your Creative Cloud account. But let's have a look what it does for us, because there is a bit of a quirky behavior with it as well. So I'll click on Gemini 3 here with a Nano Banana Pro. Let's just put that prompt in. There we go. And then I'll click on Generate. Now, that again will give us one generation. Takes roughly 10 to 12 seconds. And like I said, 40 credits are deducted from your Creative Cloud account. But let's just speed the video up to see what result we get. All right, so yes, it's done a fantastic job at removing the scaffolding, but you'll notice, look, if I turn this layer off and on, it's kind of, well, it's shrunk it down. It's kind of shifted it a little bit. There's definitely a bit of distortion, and it doesn't line up with the original castle. So that's the kind of quirky behavior that's going on there. And I don't think that this is an Adobe issue. This is something to do with Google, which I think Adobe are talking to them about so that this can be fixed. It is easy to fix it now, but it's just a quirky behavior. But let's have a look here then. So again, this is all at 1K. But how can we fix this? Well, what we'll do is we'll use the auto align feature. So what I would do is in the layers panel, we've got one layer highlighted. I'll hold the shift key down to click on the other one. So now they're both highlighted, mean these two layers are the ones that I want to line up with each other. I'll then go to the edit menu and choose auto align layers. But you'll see here, look, it's grayed out. And that's because that command there doesn't work on generative fill layers, and it also, at the moment, doesn't work on smart objects, layers that have been converted for smart filters, things like that. So what I need to do is convert this layer here to a normal box standard layer, like I did before. We can either do that by going to the layer menu, or just right-click over the name here of the layer and just choose rasterize layer, and that'll then convert it into a normal layer. Then I'll shift click so they're both highlighted, and then go to the edit menu. Auto align layers is available, so I click on that. These are the default settings. I'll leave it in auto. I'll change nothing else and click OK, and bang, it lines it up really, really well like that. So then what I would do, again, because what I don't want to have is unnecessary pixels here at lower resolution, and anywhere within this selected area that I used has been regenerated, and they will be limited to 1K resolution, which potentially, depending on what I use to take the picture, is going to be less than the rest of the image. So I'm going to limit where those lower resolution generated pixels are going to be. So I'll click on the layer mask, I'll fill it with black, I'll go to the edit menu, choose fill. From the drop down contents menu here, I'll choose black and click OK. So it hides it. Then I get a brush with a white foreground color, and making sure that the brush is 0% hardness, so it's nice and soft, so everything will blend in better. I can then just brush over the area that would have included where the scaffolding has gone there, look here. So let's just brush that over. There we go. So it's done a really good job, liking that. There we go. So that's before and after, before and after. There's a slight shift, but not one that you'd really be noticing. But you can see, look, the 1K is definitely lower resolution than the rest of the. Look at this area here, look, quite soft. When we compare it to, say, something over here, much, much softer. So you'd probably have to do that same trick there, duplicating it, converting it to a normal layer, and then using the AI sharpen or whatever you want to do. Or, you know, now that you know how this works, if you're happy to use those kind of credits, you could potentially use it when, fingers crossed, this does come in at 4K. But let's talk about that in a minute, because it could potentially mean more credits used. All right, so, okay, we'll make the selection going around like so, around the castle like so. Then we'll go to the generative fill, we'll put in the prompt, and we'll choose, making sure we use the Gemini 2.5, the original Nano Banana Pro, which is going to cost us now 10 credits to be deducted from our Creative Cloud account. We'll click on Generate. That's going to give us just the one variation. So one variation, 10 credits deducted, roughly 10 to 12 seconds. Let's just see what that does for us. speed the video up so we can see. In fact, I won't do that at all. There you go. So it's kind of similar there to the Gemini 3, the Nano Banana Pro, where it's shifted. So I'll just do the same thing there, line it all up. Let's just convert it to a normal layer, rasterize, click on both of them, and then go to Edit, Auto Align Layers, leave the default, and click OK. So something like that. Fill that layer mask with black and get the white soft brush and brush it over. Well, that's not bad at all. Zoom in, but yeah, there you go. Look, you can see the difference there in that very, very smooth, not much detail, definitely softer than the original image. So yeah. All right, so I hope that's useful. Obviously giving you a look there at how I would remove that scaffolding off the castle or anything that's really, really detailed, but still wanting to maintain the original structure within my picture. That's why I love that Flux Context Pro AI model. It is so good at maintaining the integrity. But when we're using this technology, we need to be aware of the credits that are being deducted from our Creative Cloud account. So I've got those here for you. And also there is a link in the description for the help page that Adobe published on the 17th of December with a few more details about it. But hope it's useful. Drop me a thumbs up if it has been. And now I'm just going to play you out a short video which tells you a little bit about the Photography Creative Circle community that I run on School that I'd love to see you join in, particularly as we have a 7-day free trial. I'll catch you in the next video.
Sometimes it feels like you're creating in silence. Just you, your camera, and the glow of your screen. But something's missing. A connection. A community. But now you've found it. This is the Photography Creative Circle. Inside you'll find a classroom, live calls, feedback sessions, a member map, meetups, and a thriving forum that never sleeps. And every month brings new workshops, expert talks, and community challenges to keep you learning and inspired. The Photography Creative Circle is a worldwide community, providing a safe space for creatives to connect, share, get feedback, grow, and building friendships. Join us today with a 7-day no-commitment free trial and start your creative journey.
It'll be great to have you part of the community.